3, 2, 1. Fragments of Silicon, now available in 4, 6, and 10 packs with your choice of dipping sauce.
Welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon European interviews. This week we have Jakub Jabłoński of not actually IMGN.PRO, but of Juggler Games. There had been a bit of a juggling, no pun intended, of who was actually going to show up today, and that really wasn't settled until about 15 minutes ago. Anyway, Jakub, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. It's a great weather in Poland. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
Doing well. I think everyone else here is doing fine. Allergies excluded. Anyway, right, so let's just get into it. We like to start things by getting to know the people behind the game. And we do that by asking how they got interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level.
Okay, so this one is quite a complicated question because I'm like an old guy. I'm 37 years old, and I play games since just the beginning of games, almost. I finished National Polish Film School, so I dreamed about making movies. I ended in making movies for games. So I like work in two companies. I work in Plattish Image and I do trailers for huge AAA titles like Total War, like Ubisoft games, like Division and stuff like this. But I started also a company with my friends, which is a game dev company. And we want to create artistic games. And this is Juggler Games. And our first game is My Memory of Us. So the love for the games, you know, I love completely different titles. But I like to play different games and I like to create different games. So My Memory of Us is a tiny artistic piece. It's an adventure game, and it connects to my reality and my history and my past.
Right, and in terms of games development, did you like work on the AAA games or just like to cut the trailers?
I'm director, for animation director, art director. So I do concept art. I'm directing the animation. I'm working on mocap, and I'm art directing all the CGI stuff. I mean, not gameplay trailers, but CGI trailers, like reveal trailers, announcement trailers, and stuff like this.
Right. And right. So getting into My Memory of Us. You mentioned there's a lot of personal connections here. I'm guessing that has to do with some very heavy subject matter because I've played the demo of this, and it's sort of whimsical, sort of very, very World War II inspired.
Yeah.
So, exactly what inspirations flowed into this project?
All right. So the main idea is that we wanted to create a game which is universal, but it's a story about friendship, about two children, about girl and about boy, and it refers to that story. The friendship refers to the story itself, but it also refers to the mechanics. But the game itself is inspired by the historical events, which we are trying to show in a form of fairy tale. And these events refer to the Holocaust events, they refer to occupation of Poland, occupation of Warsaw, the city I'm living in here, and story of the people. But to make it universal, we decided not to show flags, we don't show nations, we don't show symbols, religious symbols. national symbols, and we don't show violence. Because we find out that the story behind the Holocaust, it's so powerful, it's so universal, that it should be shown in form of fairy tale in order to be not offensive, to be more powerful. And because it's a story about children, and it's hard to make a realistic game about Holocaust using children. The game itself is some kind of a metaphor. We try to we don't want to offend two groups of people, and we have to respect two groups of people. One, these are like survivors of Holocaust and their families. They are quite important for us. But we also have to respect gamers. And gamers, they don't like talking about religion. They don't like talking about history in a literal form of way. Yeah, it's up to them. They can dig some historical facts in our game. We actually will have super tiny encyclopedia, but it will be like outside of the game in the parts that you can unlock in a menu. But if you don't want to read about story, the game doesn't make you to do it. It's not necessary to understand the game. The basic idea is to tell the story about beautiful friendship and about cooperation.
Yeah, I definitely saw that from what I played. And how deep is the adversity here that this girl have to face?
Maybe I don't understand the word. Could you ask the question in a simpler way for me?
Okay. Like how much? Trying to think here. How much of an opposing force are these fascists like?
All right. So the game begins before the war, and actually, children they meet each other before the war. So we go through occupation itself, through war, but we are also visiting the time before the invasion, and the friendship starts from simple things like playing together, doing some nice stuff. Actually, we have one level when you have to steal the cookie, and something happens. The characters are separated, and one of them will have to help second guy to escape from prison. And through such tiny stories, we try to show how this friendship is becoming stronger. Maybe if you notice that on some of our promo materials, the girl is wearing red dress, and for example, in levels you could play on packs, both characters were grayscale. But we have also some promo materials when two characters are red, and the red is like a main symbol during the game, because we decided not to use the symbol of nations, not to use also the David Star symbol, the symbol of exclusion in the ghettos. So we tried to use this red color. Of course, we're inspired by Schindler's List, and we found that this red color so powerful that we decided to use it as a symbol. It's a symbol of exclusion. It's a symbol of endangered stuff, but it's also a symbol of interaction. And our characters, they change colors during the game because of the story development. So there's a moment that one of them has to sacrifice to change the color in order to help another person. So yeah, we start the story before the friendship itself, and of course at the end the friendship is strong. The bond is very strong.
Right. So before we continue on further, I think we should play the trailers for this game so the audience can get an idea of this game.
Both of them?
They're short enough that we can play both of them.
All right, then. Give me 1 second. All right. Be good to go.
All right, proceed. Right then. So it's a very striking art style. It's a very high contrast art style. Uh, Outside of wanting to avoid realism, was another reason why you went such a with such stylized imagery.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm doing just illustration. I'm for books and some book covers. I illustrated a book about Polish war estate a few years ago for the very famous Polish writer Jacek Dukaj, and it was quite similar story about communism and about young child who's like exploring the communistic space thanks to his imagination. So this art for me, it should be like a bit childish, fairy tale like, a tiny bit inspired by the old school cartoons. You know, I'm not so good like the artist from the Cuphead studio, and I didn't want to copy that style. But the main inspiration comes from this glorious period of Disney animation, and of course, the art here, it's not like created by line arts. It's not cartoonish in a form of technical way. It's more like cutout animation mixed with hand painted stuff. But it pretty much it refers to the very old school illustration, and it's also inspired.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Hello.
I hear you, but I think our guest might be having problems.
Uh,
Yeah, I think the question is if the guest dropped.
Yeah.
But it becomes more
Ah,
dark
there you are.
and darker. More steampunk elements they appear during the game.
Jacob, we lost you for a minute there.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll try not to move.
Eh.
So did you hear that we were inspired by naive art and by the
Right.
first Disney animations? So this is the most important inspiration here.
Indeed. And I did want to touch upon something that's been mentioned. Like the primary influence in terms of history seems to be World War II, but I'm also wondering if there's any elements of, say, the communist era of Poland here as well.
Well, spoiler alert, I cannot say. The most of the, like 90% of the game, it takes place during the Second World Tour, or is inspired by Second World Tour. You can say also like this. But the beginning, the prologue and epilogue, they take place today. And the story itself, it has the ending, it has like few interpretations. Is it connected to communism? Well, you have to know history very well to get the like a second bottom of the ending, but it's definitely not necessary. You can not be interested in Polish history or in history at all to get to have a nice adventure and to feel great emotions, because the game itself is pretty moody, cheerful, but we also have very sad moments. But don't worry, we are not killing the main guys. We are not so cheap.
Duly noted. Yeah.
There's one thing, because people's reactions very different. Like not everyone gets the idea that it refers to the World War II, which is cool for us because, as I said at the beginning, we want this one to be taken as universal as it could be. But many people were asking that we have a huge wall with barbed wire, and if this wall refers to the story of Trump and his wall, yeah. Some guys on this PAX in Boston, they were asking if it take place in like a communistic republic. So as you can see, the interpretation can be wide, and I think it's better for the story.
I can definitely see how people could take that interpretation, given the totalitarian tendencies of the bloc governments, but just in a general sense. But there are like specific symbols that would set communism apart from like fascism, for example.
Uh,
Anyway,
the
uh,
red color doesn't mean communism at all. So the red color, it means excluded. The main
right,
reference is interaction, exclusion, danger, stuff like this. It
right.
doesn't refer to communism at all. We don't use communistic symbols, and as I said, we try not to use symbols at all. Well, known symbols.
Right. I mean, I suppose that that is a good clarification on the color red because uh, red has many symbolic meanings, especially in a high contrast black and white world. It's like
Yeah,
typically it can be used to represent blood, the sacrifice of the people and that kind of deal. But
yeah. It can also mean life, like
yeah,
through comparison to blood. Yeah, so it can sometimes mean good things. So for example, we have an idea because our characters are communicating through very simple icons, and when you're exploring the city, you can, for example, watch some people talking, yeah, some non-playable characters, which are not interactive, and they are just sharing some icons. And for example, one character says that he loves another, he's showing a grayscale heart. But when the same character will show red heart, it means that he is interactive, but the quest or the tiny task which refers to him will be connected with his feelings or with his love. And we have some tasks like this, which are not mandatory to finish the game, but they will help to give you some achievements. For example, we have one level which takes place in a flying train, which goes to the concentration camp, and you have to escape the train, leave it in escape pods. And there's a tiny story of people who are imprisoned in this train, and they're imprisoned like in two different parts. And there's a guy and there's a girl. They love each other, and they are interactive. You can earn an achievement when you take love letter from one guy and
The joys of European connections.
especially on an
only
iPhone.
for an achievement.
Right. Um, moving forward, was there a particular reason why you picked the adventure game genre as your choice for conveyance of this story?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a it's an adventure game, and it refers to some kind of platforming games mechanisms, but it's not a hardcore platformer. You don't you don't jump in this game. Actually, Gary can jump, but it's quite automatic. So it's more like a point and click game in a form of platformer. So the good reference here is Valiant Hearts game, which we love a lot and which we're inspired by. And games like this, they're heavily storytelling based. And we decided that to tell the story about which refers to the Holocaust, we definitely have to concentrate on story, on emotions, on very tiny things, and not create complicated gameplay hardcore. It's not you cannot tell a story about so important things like Holocaust, friendship, and stuff like this, while being and staying super hardcore platformer.
Huh. That's an interesting mix. Not one that I would have personally expected. And has it been easy to implement in terms of storytelling?
It's very hard, actually. We are quite small team, and the hardest stuff is that you can
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Wait for it. Wait for it. All right.
Well, his icon's still there at least.
Yeah. He's not actually like dropping from the call. It's just his voice is dropping at points.
Yeah, it's a bad connection to Skype more than likely.
and sometimes telling like super complicated story without words, because during the interactive game we don't have We don't have words at all. We don't have letters and voiceover. We will have voiceover only during game cinematics. Well, it will be necessary to tell the story, which is quite complicated, in a better way. But creating the story is quite complicated for a small studio in such a form. Of course, it would be the best to create a game like Detroit, but we are like 9 people up to 15 people with all the freelancers, so it will be impossible for us. So that's why we've chosen this small, modest form, and it helps to stay symbolic.
And you're not actually fighting against, I guess, this opposing force. You're more trying to escape.
Could you repeat, because I have some...
You're not trying to physically fight against this opposing force in this game. You're more trying to escape.
Is he still there? This is already growing old. Yeah. Hello? Oh.
I think he just dropped.
Yeah, he might be trying to reconnect. The perils of live programming.
Yep.
Hang on.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yes.
Did you hear my question?
Sorry,
or do
guys.
you need to repeat it?
No, I didn't hear it. Could you repeat it?
Are you actually fighting against the, I guess, opposing force in this game directly, or are you more trying to escape?
I don't believe I get the idea of the question.
Well, is there any actual combat, or is it just more trying to get away?
I think what my colleague is trying to ask here is, are there any combat mechanics in the game?
Or did he just drop again?
I think he might have.
Mm-hmm.
Or delay or something. Hooray, technical failures.
Not our technical failures.
Yeah.
No. It's... Hang on.
Once again, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you've been cutting out occasionally throughout, so it's just I guess a both ways connection thing.
Okay, could you repeat the question, because I don't believe I get it, and maybe it should be in a simpler way for me.
Yeah. To put simply, are there any combat mechanics in this game?
Yeah, they're quite simple. We have we have some bosses. So yeah, you'll have to fight. It's not in a violent way. Actually, you can see in a Twitch presentation, you can find on the web, we have only the most violent element of the game, where actually we show one guy being like destroyed by a red ray. This is as much violence as we show during the game. But yeah, we have some shooting. You can shoot, of course, evil robots, so no blood, no real violence. But these are moments, they are like very occasionally handcrafted only in 2 places of the game.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Mostly you hide.
Right. I believe that's what my colleague was getting at, in terms of how you fight and how you deal with this oppressive force here. And anyway, question I have is there a particular reason why, outside of, like, say, the art style you've chosen, that you've shied away from overt or explicit violence?
Once again, it was lost.
Okay. Repeating the question, is there a particular reason you've shied away from the darker aspects of the Holocaust, for like?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, we don't want to offend anyone. Yeah, we want to be as. It's not about political correctness, but it's about just being okay with the past of other people. So we decided that it's very hard for the small studio to tell a really, really important story in a realistic way. That's why we decided that we want to share our feelings and the story of our ancestors, but through the fairy tale. And actually, game itself, at the beginning, it explains why it's a fairy tale. So it's very easy to get, but spoilers are alert. I won't tell you why. Because we believe that the form of fairy tale is the best for everyone. It's the easiest, it's the most powerful, it's the most symbolic, and it allows us to share emotions in a way we love the most. I mean, in an artistical way. To tell the story of Holocaust, you should show all the atrocities. I don't believe that we have so much power, so much skill in storytelling to do it. I just want to be like very honest. I'm not Spielberg. I'm just a tiny guy from Poland, making small artistic video games. So I had to choose my small way.
That's certainly an interesting perspective. Now, do you want this story to be experienced by children as well?
Yes, of course. We don't have Peggy right now. We didn't do like super professional tests on children, but we have like hundreds of photos of children actually playing this game on PAX, on some Polish events, on German events. So yeah, people play this game. They love it, which is very funny. Especially girls love it. Maybe because the girl in our game, she's stronger than a boy. She's more naughty and she can shoot the sling. And maybe because she's red, but children like this game, maybe because of the art, and maybe because it tells the story in a very, very, very simple way, which is not, how to say it, which is not only not complicated, but we are not trying to shoot people with history. And children are asking very, very, very funny and very, very powerful questions after playing this game. They are asking us, who is the evil king? Why the robots are evil, why these people are red, and it can be fun, but it also can be very challenging for their parents to help them find answers for these questions. But maybe this is the best reason for our game to be created.
I would actually agree with that, given, well, in terms of time, we are actually a long ways away from World War II, to the point where lessons are starting to be forgotten. Like, it's, the people who directly experienced that time period are dying off. And, their stories, their legacy needs to be passed down in a myriad of ways. I know he dropped, but I'm still making a point here.
Okay, I'm here once again.
Yeah.
Sorry
As I
for
was saying, yeah, it's like
I left it.
It's really important that kids do experience this, so they know what happened. Did he? Is he still here?
Live broadcasting is great.
It's got its ups and downs. Hello?
Hello, I'm here, yeah.
Okay, moving forward. In terms of development, are you using Unity or Unreal or a different engine?
Yeah, we are using Unity for the as a general engine of the game. For animation, we use Spine, and art we do only in Photoshop.
And have you found the tool sets to be fairly easy to use?
Well, we create our tools by our own, so we have like two very, very good programmers, Anya and Bartek. So thanks to them, we have some additional tools, especially camera tools and tools for doing cutscenes. Actually, Unreal doesn't support 2.5D games, and Unity is the only one which should do it well, but it's not enough. So we have to add some elements of our own.
And what are we looking at in terms of release on platforms? Like, is this game just coming to, say, Windows, or is it going to be on Mac and Linux and consoles, mobile?
Will be on PC through the Steam, and simultaneously we will do PS4 and Xbox, and maybe something else a bit later.
Like, interesting. I can imagine what that might be. Like,
everyone's favorite.
Okay. Like, though clearly not quite ready to be talked about. Like, and are all of the versions being developed in tandem, or are you planning on like releasing the PC version first and then the consoles later?
If everything is going to be cool, we're going to release PC, PS4, and Xbox one day.
Okay. Like, have there been any major hindrances on the console side?
For now, we know that it works on consoles. So it's going to get there.
Okay, that's always good to hear. You know, sometimes the games, they don't work so well.
Yeah, definitely it's not the one button create game. Yeah, but the stuff is already tested. It's created by our friends from different studios. So we'll get there. We'll get there definitely.
Right. And does the game have a current release date?
Yeah, we're shooting something between Q3 and Q4 this year. But you know, a tiny developer means like sometimes huge time holes. I believe everything is going to be cool, and Q3 and Q4 is the realistic date.
Right. And do you have a price set?
Oh, this one is top secret for sure. I'm the artist. I'm not the best guy to talk about money. I'm very good at spending them on art.
Duly noted. Duly noted. These are the questions we have to ask.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, well, I'm good with my line of questioning. I'll open it up to my colleagues here, see if they have anything else they want to contribute.
I'm good on what I was going to ask. So, Golux, do you have anything?
I think I'm pretty good. It looks like an interesting game. So, I look forward to trying it out.
All right. So I think that'll about do it. All right. The game is My Memory of Us. It's coming to the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, Q2, Q3, 2018. Be sure to keep an eye out for it. And yeah, this will about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our main show as we welcome Dennis Pivaro of Aloft Studio, and as we talk about the action-adventure Zelda-like Hazelnut Bastille. Until then, I wish you good gaming.
Thank you, guys.